In a recent episode of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver thoroughly bashed third-party candidates. I know it's just a comedy show, but for anyone who wasn't familiar with Jill Stein before, after seeing this episode, I'm sure they now have an inaccurate impression of her. So I'd like to respond to John Oliver on a few issues. Right off the bat, he starts off with this Nader spoiler myth. This is inaccurate for a couple reasons. One, 12 times more Democrats voted for the Republican Bush than voted for Nader, and it's incorrect to assume that people who vote for third parties would vote for another party if they didn't. That's just not true. Most people voting third parties are doing so because they don't see the other two parties as a viable option. They're disgusted by them.
We'll start with Jill Stein. She's a doctor who practiced internal medicine for 27 years, and she has a broadly appealing pitch, from environmental issues to expanding LGBT rights to reducing income inequality.
Unfortunately, he left out the most broadly appealing aspect of Jill's campaign.
I'm the only candidate in this race that is not taking money from lobbyists, from corporate interests, and I do not have a super PAC. So my campaign has the unique ability to stand up for what the American people actually need.
But it's not worth mentioning, right?
Let's start with the plan that has been central to her candidacy.
My campaign is the only one that will do for young people what our misleaders saw fit to do for Wall Street not that long ago. It was about $4 trillion in free money in the form of so-called quantitative easing, which is a magic trick.
No, it isn't, though.
I get that saying, hey, vote for me, I know magic, doesn't really radiate credibility. But if you understand how our banking system and the Federal Reserve System actually works, it's actually pretty accurate to call quantitative easing a magic trick.
Quantitative easing was the creation of money. They created money and handed that money to the banks at the tune of $85 billion a month. Let me say that one more time. $85 billion a month.
If pulling a bunny out of an empty top hat is magic, pulling money out of nothing, out of nowhere, is it really that much of a stretch to call that magic too?
Jill Stein has said the president has the authority to cancel student debt using quantitative easing. That is absolutely wrong. The president does not have that authority, only the Federal Reserve does.
But the president does have the authority to appoint the chair of the Federal Reserve. And while Jill didn't mention that in the Reddit AMA that John is quoting, she's mentioned that many, many times before.
The president actually has executive power by way of appointing the chair of the Federal Reserve to undertake that quantitative easing.
This is something the president can accomplish without having to even get it through Congress by virtue of the power of appointment over the Federal Reserve.
Check the green box to cancel student debt, which is something the president has the authority to do by virtue of appointing the head of the Federal Reserve, which creates the quantitative easing.
It's basically akin to saying, I'll make us energy independent by ordering the post office to invade Canada.
No, John, it's not like that at all. But you know what is fundamentally flawed? Is the idea that you're going to fix a corrupt political system by accepting loads of money from Wall Street, private prisons, and big pharma.
That's what they offered. So,
She tweeted, "There's no evidence that autism is caused by vaccines," before Jill Stein, a doctor, remember, replaced it with a more equivocal, "I'm not aware of evidence linking autism with vaccines."
There is not evidence versus I'm not aware of any evidence is a scientific response. Scientists are 99.9% sure about global warming. They acknowledge there's some doubt because we're always learning new things. She's just making clear that she's not Donald Trump and she knows she doesn't know everything. John Oliver wants you to think that she's some loony bird, but the reality is, anytime she's been asked whether vaccines cause autism, she says really clearly, no.
Do you think vaccines cause autism?
No.
Great. Cleared up.
Also, let's compare this to Hillary Clinton when asked if Obama was a Muslim.
You said you take Senator Obama at his word that he's not a Muslim. You don't believe that he's a Muslim.
No, why would I?
Implying,
There's no,
right?
no, there is nothing to base that on. As far as I know. As far as I know. As far as I know.
So, John, if you're gonna call out Jill Stein for this tweet, you should really call out Hillary. Because not only did she suggest that Obama was secretly a Muslim, she's currently attacking Trump for suggesting the same thing. I mean, that's yet another flip to the flip-flop pattern.
I even understand the argument that a third-party candidate can put a new issue or a new solution on the table, but it is hard to make the case that that is what's happening here.
It's not hard to make the case that one of these candidates is bringing a new issue to the table. No other candidate in the race is not accepting corporate interest money. Jill Stein would bring that to the table. Clinton and Trump are arguing whether to bomb the hell out of the Middle East or bomb the fucking hell out of the Middle East. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson bring a new idea to the table, making America safe by not dropping bombs at all. Not dropping bombs. Not spending trillions of dollars on wars that make us less safe.
I come for the nation of the future generation. Transportation, but to her is the salvation.
I feel like we just figured out who or what killed Biggie and Tupac.
As a amateur music maker myself, I'm not about to insult Jill Stein or anybody for their musical endeavors. No artist doesn't have some bad songs. Queen made a song about a bicycle, why can't Jill Stein? While John's gone ahead and pointed out some of the worst songs, I'm gonna leave you with one of the best songs. Thanks for watching.
Hey, American dream, going up in smoke. Time is different.